So I think I'm gonna lay off binging The Office late at night for a while. Suddenly it just seems kind of wrong. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is I Saw the TV Glow. I Saw the TV Glow follows two lonely children as they bond over a fantasy TV show and the surreal things that follow as their obsession over it becomes stronger. It stars Justice Smith and Brigette Lundy-Paine. And what the shit, Fred Durst. So I know I said I was going to do If this month, and I'm still going to do that at some point, but I'm waiting for my family to see it. We're going to see it together. My brother's graduating on Friday. Yay! So we're going to wait to see that, so I will do it at some point, I promise. But this is good because I really wanted to see this movie and review it because it looked very interesting. It's another A24, and we all know how much I loved that. So let's get into this a little bit because it is something else. If you couldn't tell from the trailer, obviously this movie has what is probably the thing that pulled me to it the most. The vibes. Aesthetically, it's just amazing. It's beautiful looking. It's got these neon lights and colors, mostly of blues and pinks because gender is a big thing in this movie. It's got terrifying or depressing things set in fun locations like a ball pit or a town fair or movie theater. That kind of weird contrast that comes with a lot of these movies. And musically, it has a bomb soundtrack of just a lot of synth music and stuff like that. Although this has confirmed for me, officially, that while I can respect the hell out of it, I do not like Screamo. Also, it's just got this great nostalgia element from old TV shows, reminiscent of things like Nick at Night for people who are watching who are roughly my age. When we would watch those things at night, it was very late, and they're very endearing and cheesy, but they could also be a little bit creepy to kind of downright disturbing. Hence all of the iceberg videos that have come out about Nickelodeon, among other things. And I think that they portrayed them really well because it's a very fine line to strike. When I was on set for my final film in college, we had basically this character who painted. And we had somebody just paint something on a whim as the prop that the character was going to paint to get into a university within the story. And then somebody on set finally just had the balls to say, guys, that painting is not going to be believable as something that would get her into this university. That painting over there on the wall that they have hanging in this house already would. And so that really just got it in my brain that when you're going to do something within a movie like that, like a movie within a movie or something like that, more often than not, it has to be believable as the characters would be so obsessed with this thing or like this thing. If we as the audience don't believe it, why are they going to believe it? And I think they did a good job with this because while the show, The Pink Opaque, which is the show in the movie, is very cheesy, that's what it was like. These really cheesy costumes and outfits, the terrible dialogue, but it had heart. All these shows had a lot of heart and we were drawn to them because we were kids, but also because they were very cool. They had a lot of cool concepts, great characters. And The Pink Opaque was also a little bit like a younger version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is fun because I just finished watching that for the first time ever. And it has a lot of, again, that cheesiness, the choreography, the concepts and everything, but it was also really cool because in that show within the movie, there's a character named Tara, and the actress who played Tara in Buffy the Vampire Slayer actually cameos in this movie. And so that was pretty cool. The acting in this movie is something that has to be there to carry it because it mostly surrounds these two characters. And it's that kind of acting and storytelling that just takes this movie to the next level, where instead of telling us that these are reserved, nerdy, struggling kids, we actually see them to the point where we feel kind of disturbed by them or sad for them at a lot of points. And I mean in a very realistic sense. It's not just, I know I should feel this way, so I do, but they are actually affecting me by how they act because they seem like actually struggling kids. It just really dives into this sad nature and concept of how a lot of kids and even adults will just throw themselves, obsess over TV shows and movies just to get away from the struggles in their lives and within themselves for a while, hoping that they can be somebody else, pretending to be somebody else for a while, for even just an hour of the day. And for most of us, obviously, that's something that we just like to do or make whole channels around. But for some people, it's like an actual, genuine escape to the point where it's almost a problem because everything in their life is so terrible, that's all they have. So, what exactly is this movie? Is it a drama? Is it a horror? Is it a sci-fi, nostalgia, period piece? Yes, that's what A24 does best. They blend all of these things together, and you're not quite sure what you're seeing, but you know that you probably like it or maybe really hate it. And that is definitely the case with this movie. It's probably going to be very polarizing because this movie starts out as one thing, and I thought it was just going to continue to be that because I had no idea from the trailer or anything I'd barely seen about it. And then halfway through, it sort of develops into something else, and you're either gonna respect it and even maybe like it, or like the couple next to me after the movie ended very abruptly, you're going to hate the living shit out of it. Because I don't know about both of them, but definitely one of them was very vocal about the fact that she felt it wasn't a complete story because it ended so abruptly. A couple of years ago, I would have absolutely agreed with them. But after seeing things in recent years like Beau is Afraid, The Sweet East, I'm thinking of many things. These kinds of movies where it is very open-ended and interpretive and abstract, and it's more about the feeling or the metaphor rather than an actual concrete plot or story, and I've gotten more used to that. I don't necessarily think that's the case that this is not a complete story. I think it absolutely is, but it is based off your interpretation. I know what mine is, but yours might be different, because it's one that doesn't end cleanly, but it does end in a spot that makes sense for the themes all the way through, giving you just this little thin string of something to piece everything together throughout so that you can branch off into different interpretations and perspectives while it's still being slightly a still cohesive story. It's kind of like Beau is Afraid, but to a much lesser degree, I would say. And one thing that I thought probably would have been a low for this movie, but thinking about it more, I think it's actually a high, is that they actually did a really good job not diving into one interpretation or path or another. They don't really lean to one set of answers or another, but just present you with what they do, and they keep it vague. And I think it's actually this vagueness that makes it that much more disturbing and that much sadder. Although, no matter what your interpretation is or what you think might happen, I will say it's a pretty sad, bleak story. It really doesn't get happy. And, it's like, well, why should I watch this movie? Well, because it has a lot of great questions about this type of thing where you throw yourself into something just to get away from your life for a little bit. But also because there is a side to this that could actually be real plot, and I kind of want to know what you think about it. It's hard to talk about this movie without being vague. I don't want to go into too many of the details because not necessarily that there's spoilers, but because I don't want to affect what you might think about the movie or, give you different interpretations when you could come up with these discoveries on your own or, sway your perspective in any one way. I kind of went into this almost blind, and I was pleasantly surprised with it, even though I thought it might have been more of something else. I do like what we got. If I have anything that I wish we could have seen more of, it was actually the kids' lives, their external lives, and why it is that they're throwing themselves into these shows so hard. They allude to a lot of things with family struggles, internal struggles, things with identity, stuff like that. But for the level of obsession that they had with this show, I would have liked to have just seen a little bit more of those external factors to match that obsession and why they would go so hard into the TV show. Now, again, there is sort of an interpretation of this story in which that doesn't actually matter as much, but for the one where it does, I would have liked to have seen that just to have it. That way it makes both cases really strong, because it is very interesting. I would like to hear a lot of discussion from you guys on what you think was really the case, or maybe kind of both, and what it implies and what it means for this movie. So I Saw the TV Glow is once again another very unique original movie from A24 to make you think, to make you question things, to make you see things differently, or see people or parts of places that you would never have probably really seen that in depth before, or at least with that perspective before, and that's why I love these kinds of movies. It was a very interesting one. I definitely have to watch it again to really feel out what I think about it now that I know what's happened. It's definitely going to probably be one of those that changes every so often as I have more views of it. But it was very interesting. I loved the look of it. I really want to see what this director will do afterward. I'm going to put the name here because I actually don't remember her name, but it was really good, and I want to see what she does next. I'm going to give I Saw the TV Glow a 3.5 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of I Saw the TV Glow. Keep a lookout on the Instagram for more of these polls for our fandom bracket. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and TV right in the middle, but not too much, okay? Go outside, please.